Welcome back, everyone, to my channel. Today, we are going to talk about some cards in Command that I was wrong about in my limited review. As a reminder, this limited review was mostly focused on pre-release, but in the future sets, we are going to be focused on draft. But without further ado, let's get started. So 97th Legion was a card that I gave an F to. I thought that it would be a little slow, and I did not think that the stats gaining every turn wouldn't matter too much. I was like, it could just be removed by anything. It doesn't have an on-play effect. But in all honesty, this card felt really good. Not even close to an F. I would now change this card's rating to a B. If you are playing green, you're playing Command, you want 97th Legion in your deck. It's a really good finisher. 7 health is so much in this game when it comes down, and then the fact that it does keep growing after that is so hard to remove for your opponent. While it can die to cards like Power of the Dark Side or get bounced by Waylay, so can every other card in the game. And they have to have it, that late in the game. And are they really saving their removal tools? Can they save them? So that's really what we gotta be thinking. But either way, 97th Legion has felt really strong, and I'm changing this guy from an F, which is really low, to a B. So I was very wrong about 97th Legion. Next up, we have Reinforcement Walker. Man, I really, really like Reinforcement Walker. We, I think I really undervalued the power of this effect happening every single turn. So we originally gave it a C, and I'm going to change that to an A. Um, Healing 3 on play is great. So if they waylay it, hey, you healed 3 or you drew a card. And if they don't bounce it, right? This thing has 9 defense. Again, we were just talking about how strong defense is with 97th Legion, and there's not many cards. In fact, I don't think there's anything that can, kill this thing in one shot. It's so sticky, and you're seeing this card played a lot now in Constructed, in Boba Fett, and Palpatine, and all these decks. And it is just so strong. The value that it generates is insane. If you make it to your 8 resource turn in draft, you are going to feel so good when you play this card, even if it is removed because you already got immediate value from it. And if it's not removed, the game literally just ends. You have too much value, you have too much healing, and a 6/9 body is just too much for your opponent. So this card should be in A. Next up, we have Mon Mothma. So kind of a little bit reverse here. I originally gave Mon Mothma an A. I figured that draft is a slow format, which I still agree that it is. But I was like, hey, searching for the top 5 has to be a strong effect. It's literally a turn 1 draw a card effect. In every other card game I've played, this would just be insane. It's always going to find cards. 90% of the time, it's going to find a card. But it turns out that 1/3 are really, really bad stats, and this card doesn't actually pressure your opponent at all. Doesn't offer to kill anything. Honestly, this card isn't really good played on turn 2. You probably want to play it later in the game, like on 5 or 6 resources in conjunction with another card, and usually you're just using it to filter. And because that's the case, I'm going to give this card a C now. It is just a fine card, like you include it in your deck, but honestly, if your deck is filled with high-powered cards, you would just take this thing out completely. I will say, if you open an absolute bomb that you just really, really want to see every game, then you're going to be playing Mon Mothma to try to find that bomb. But again, I was a little bit too high on this card, and I think it should only be a C. Moving on, we got U-Ring Reinforcement. I also gave this card a C, but after playing this card, it is absolutely insane to summon multiple units all at once. Again, combining actions together is always a good thing. I could bring out a Fleet Lieutenant and I don't know, Bright Hope, and all of a sudden I have a Sentinel in space, and I get to swing with something else because of the Fleet Lieutenant effect. Uh, that ability is just very strong. It being able to search for my 7-drop when it's not in my hand is also really good. So this card should be an A. It is very, very powerful. The idea that you have so much versatility with it, and that it could be finding some of your best pieces is really good. And I definitely underestimated how strong it could be to drop 2 to 3 bodies all at once and get all of their on play effects or sentinels. Maybe like, hey, I need a space sentinel and a ground sentinel right now, and if I had it, I'd win, but I don't. And you wing reinforcement, you find them both, and your opponent can't close out the game, or now you can close out the game because they have to spend multiple attacks just to try to kill you. This card is really strong, and I definitely underestimated its power. And lastly, we have Emperor Palpatine. So I gave Palpatine an A, but I also said in my video that this card could be an S. And I'm going to lower that to a C to B rating. Probably leaning more towards C. I really like Palpatine, and I have played him in draft format, and he did feel fine. But the whole game, I was kind of like, man, I kind of just wish I was playing Grand Moff Tarkin instead. And usually you can because he's a common leader, so he's very readily opened, and not many people are looking to play him. And plus, Palpatine's are rare, so you're seeing him less often. But in this game, even though it's slow, for your leader to come down on 8 is so slow. Like, so slow. And because it's not constructed, we're not guaranteed to add any ping effects in our deck and just have them readily available, which means on 7 or 8 resources, we need to be using our Palpatine effect. So in order for me to take something, I also need to kill one of my own things just to summon my leader and take something. That's just really slow. Our opponent can also play hardcore around this card. They just won't summon their 8 resource thing yet, so I'll have to take something that's played earlier in the game. And, maybe I'm taking, let's even say they play Darth Vader, and I take their, like, 5/3 Darth Vader because it took 4 damage. Like, yeah, that's really strong, but, they could just trade almost any card back into the Vader, and then I'm just left with my Palpatine, who is a 4/10 body. I also will say, like, on this card's flip side, its on attack is pretty bad. Like, I don't really ever want to be killing my own units just to deal a damage. Um, like we just said with Mon Mothma, like drawing cards is not as strong as we think it is, especially at 8 resources, because at 8 resources in draft, I probably don't need to be resourcing anymore, so I'm just drawing 2 cards a turn anyway. Do I really need to be drawing 3 cards when I play Palpatine? Yeah, I'm just not convinced. But this card is obviously super cool and super fun, so in your draft, you should definitely give it a shot. Just know that, when your opponent plays a Boba or a Sabine, and their leader comes out 3 turns before yours, like, that can feel rough. You say, hey, well, what if I get all this ramp? Well, every other leader in this game is trying to play green and ramp as well. If you guys did not notice, green is a very strong color in draft because of getting your leader out a turn early with Super Laser Tech or Resupply. So they might be trying to be doing the same game plan as you. Also, Palpatine's colors, because of this, are very contested. I think black in general is a little bit better in slower formats like draft, so people should be leaning already towards the bad guys. And because you're playing bad guys, you should be leaning towards a little bit towards green. So this guy's colors are more heavily contested. If he was more niche and were colors that nobody played, like maybe I would put him into the B category. But his pool being taken out really matters, I think, and me giving this card a C. Obviously a C is still playable, but I think if you have him and Grand Moff Tarkin in front of you, most of the time you should be playing Grand Moff Tarkin. He'll offer a lot more value, and he comes down on 5, just make it a little bit more strong. So. And yes, that is it. We are going to be reviewing all my colors. Obviously, I wasn't perfect in my video, but I picked cards that I was about 2 places off away instead of just 1. But honestly, I think I did okay for my first limited review of this game since it was a brand new game. I think my opinion of the game has strongly increased over the past month or 2 of playing this game since release, and I'm excited to go into the second set and do the limited review of those. As always, guys, thank you so much for trying out my channel, listening to me talk about some cardboard, and yeah, as always, guys, peace.